Welcome to another edition of SKNS's Week in Review. I am your presenter, Mr. Tion Coggins. In this edition, we will recap everything government related for the period of August 27th to September 2nd, 2021. Stay tuned. As schools across the Federation of St. Kitts and Nevis prepare to welcome back students for the 2021-2022 academic year, Minister of Education, the Honorable Jonelle Powell, during the virtual opening ceremony of the school year, stated that the Ministry of Education continues its confidence in teachers and administrations in the education process. The Minister of Education also outlined a number of new projects that will come on stream for the 2021-2022 school year.
It has become the responsibility of the state to make provisions for our children to receive a quality education and training that will prepare and equip our children for nation building. This sacred responsibility is entrusted to our teachers. Hence, the Ministry of Education continues to place its confidence in our teachers and administrators as they make many personal sacrifices in the process of educating, training, molding, inspiring those young, impressionable minds committed to their charge. As the Minister of Education, I place on record my utmost respect for the administration of teachers who day after day selflessly, creatively, cheerfully, and courageously discharge this sacred responsibility that has been entrusted to them. I am pleased to recognize and applaud the place of prominence that must be given to the technical vocational education training in our education system in the Federation. All students in our schools, regardless of their intellectual abilities, must be given the opportunity to pursue technical and vocational skills.
With the recent arrival of the first batch of 11,700 doses of the Pfizer COVID-19 vaccine to the Federation of St. Kitts and Nevis, children over the age of 12 years old can now be vaccinated against the deadly virus. Minister of Education, the Honorable Jonelle Powell, during his remarks at the virtual opening ceremony for the 2021-2022 school year, urged all persons to support the vaccination efforts by the government to mitigate the transmission of the COVID-19 virus.
Our schools must open to admit our students for face-to-face instruction. We must put structure, plans, and programs in place to prevent further loss of learning of our students. At this juncture, I must remind that in addition to the other layers of protection available to us, we now have a vaccine, the Pfizer vaccine, that can be administered to students 12 years and older. Our students, mainly at the secondary and tertiary levels, now have the opportunity to protect themselves against the coronavirus. I urge all students not to miss this opportunity to be vaccinated. Shortly, the Ministry of Education and the Ministry of Health will partner to roll out the administration of this vaccine. This will involve informational and sensitization sessions with teachers and parents.
The Ministry of Health commenced the administration of the Pfizer-BioNTech COVID-19 vaccine from Wednesday, September 1st, 2021. Minister of Health, the Honorable Akila Byron Nisbet, in an interview on August 31st, stated that the ministry has completed all its necessary preparatory work, including the staging of a number of training sessions with nurses who will be administering the vaccine.
We have been doing quite a number of training sessions with our nurses to get them prepared for the administration of this vaccine. This vaccine is administered a bit different to how the other vaccine is administered. And so the nurses just needed to be confident with the change in how the vaccine is administered, but they are ready now to be able to administer the vaccine starting tomorrow. We are fortunate enough to now have a vaccine that's been approved for the administration to children 12 and older. And so we want to encourage parents to use the opportunity to safeguard their children against severe illness and the possibility of death from COVID-19. We are cognizant of the fact that persons who have been vaccinated are indeed protected, and so we want to encourage parents that now we have the opportunity to protect our children against the COVID-19 and the effects that this COVID-19 causes.
Prime Minister Dr. the Honorable Timothy Harris has expressed his satisfaction with the quality of work that went into the completion of Phase 1 of the Wellington Road housing complex. The Prime Minister, along with Deputy Prime Minister the Honorable Sean Richards and Minister of Human Settlement the Honorable Eugene Hamilton, were among those who took time out to tour the new housing complex on Friday, August 27th as part of the open house event hosted by the National Housing Corporation, NHC.
I want to begin by complimenting the Ministry of Housing on the delivery of this beautiful property at Wellington Road. It has been a project which has taken time, but having come and seen, I think that this is a high quality product, and those who will have the privilege and the opportunity to become owners of these property and to have access to them, I'm sure will find them to their satisfaction.
The National Housing Corporation, NHC, has announced the completion of the first phase of the Wellington Road housing complex. Minister of Public Infrastructure, the Honorable Sean Richards, said that he thinks the construction projects in terms of bringing houses to the people of East Basseterre in particular is an extremely significant one.
If one is to think of the type of homes that you had here before, those homes can be described as substandard. A commitment was made by the Team Unity administration back then to bring a better standard of housing to the persons of St. Kitts in general, and in particular to the persons here in East Basseterre. This housing project represents the fulfillment of that particular commitment, as I've been able to tour the homes that you have here. I recognize that they are of a high standard.
Minister of Human Settlement with responsibility for NHC, the Honorable Eugene Hamilton, added that 24 units have already been constructed, with more to be built on West Street. The project is funded jointly between the government of St. Kitts and Nevis and the Bolivian Republic of Venezuela.
We have already constructed 24 units. There are some more to be built on the West Street side. And so these 24 and those on the West Street side have been funded jointly between the government of St. Kitts and Nevis and the Bolivian Republic of Venezuela.
St. Kitts and Nevis' new ambassador to the United Arab Emirates, UAE, His Excellency Ambassador Justin Hawley, on the 30th of August 2021, presented his credentials to His Highness Sheikh Mohammed bin Rashid Al Maktoum, Vice President, Prime Minister and ruler of Dubai in Abu Dhabi. Ambassador Hawley's distinguished career in foreign service has transcended foreign service officer, senior service officer and consular. He also served a stint at the headquarters of the Organization of Eastern Caribbean States, OECS, in St. Lucia. In his most recent role, Ambassador Hawley served as a Consul General at St. Kitts and Nevis Consulate in Dubai, UAE, and with its upgrade to a full embassy, has now been promoted to Ambassador. 6 of the 33 matches for the Caribbean Premier League T20 tournament are closed to the general public. Minister of Sports, the Honorable General Powell, provided a rationale for the closed games while appearing on the issue's Freedom FM 106.5 on Monday, August 3rd, 2021.
Every published CPL fixture, and the ones we would have given out, from the beginning would have shown 6 matches that were closed or behind closed doors to the public. Reasoning for that is those are 6 matches that take place at mornings during the week, weekday morning matches.
Okay.
We have a small population. It was never expected that there would be significant crowds, if any, coming to those matches.
On August 27, 2021, UNESCO's Man and the Biosphere assessed the Keon River gut in an effort to further work being done by the St. Mary's Biosphere Reserve in relation to biodiversity, climate protection, and securing cultural heritage. During a recent interview, the project coordinator for St. Mary's Man and the Biosphere, Mrs. Telka Daniel Wallace, shared some insight in relation to the ongoing project.
The St. Mary's Biosphere Reserve is a part of the World Biosphere network of biospheres. I'm sure you know by now, it was inscribed in 2011, and the reason why the area is special is because of all of the entities that is housed in that small area, which includes the nesting of injured and especially endangered species of birds. We also have within the marine part of the biosphere the north and the south reef that where people harvest sea moss, and it is a natural spawning ground for fish and other species within the marine part of the biosphere. Within the land part of the biosphere, we have our historical and cultural assets. We also have endemic species of birds and plants that is some of them only found in that particular area. As you are also aware, in the biosphere area, you have churches that go back generations that have history. And there is also the historical part where the estates, the sugar estates of Hermitage and Spooners, and the one at Cunningham, all of those estates have special history to them.
Persons undertaking construction work on their property are strongly encouraged to consult with the building board and other relevant authorities to ensure that the new structure can withstand the challenges posed by natural or man-made disasters. Dr. Eric Brown, a member of the Environment Subcommittee of the National Disaster Management Committee, spoke about decisions that some builders are taking which may turn into a recipe for disaster in the future.
The land has a slope. And once you disturb that slope, that terrain, by excavating especially, you have created a sort of a weak point. If we talk about geology, a sort of weak point. Now, when we have torrential rains, and that water soaks into that soil tends to move in the direction of the slope. And so therefore, it exerts a pressure, especially a downhill pressure.
Thank you for tuning in to this edition of SKNIS's Week in Review. I am your presenter, Mr. Tion Coggins. Goodbye.